information that you get through WhatsApp or Facebook, and do not forward or share doubtful news. Arm yourself with correct information and do not believe fake messages. Be a socially responsible citizen and follow instructions issued by the government. Avoid panic buying and stockpiling of essential items as warned by the Honorable Prime Minister. While venturing out, make sure to maintain a distance of at least 1 meter from other people. Do not fall into online frauds by clicking suspicious links or revealing sensitive information about yourself over phone calls. And last but not the least, become role models to the society by being empathetic to others, avoiding stigma, and acknowledging the hard work of frontline workers. Protect yourself and others from coronavirus. Stay home, stay safe.
And with that, we conclude this bulletin. Take good care of yourself. Namaskar.
Hyderabad, popularly known as the city of Nawabs, located in southeastern part of India, is famous for its rich cultural legacy. A prominent attraction of this modern yet historically and culturally rich city is the traditional Hyderabadi bangle. They are not just symbols of matrimony and accessories for women, but are objects of beauty in themselves. Ask any Hyderabadi and they will definitely say so.
हमने ऐसी चूड़ियाँ कहीं भी नहीं देखी। ऐसी चूड़ियाँ हमें यहाँ देखने को मिलती है और इसकी प्राइस भी एकदम रिजनेबल है। बहुत ही बढ़िया चीज़ है यहाँ पे।
बहुत अच्छी लगी, सब डिज़ाइन अच्छी है। इतनी अच्छी डिज़ाइन हमने कहीं नहीं देखी।
This traditional accessory, generations old, is deeply entwined in Hyderabadi culture, and it has evolved over the centuries from simple glass bangles to modern ones with richly ornamented designs. From molding out the shape by heating and reheating the lacquer that forms the base of these bangles to the intricate embroidery, each step requires elaborate craftsmanship. They are made of various colorful stones or beads that the craftsmen fit in with utmost care and dedication. Making each piece can take anywhere between 10 minutes to 3 hours or more depending on the intricacy of design. Beautifully embellished bangles with colorful beads or pearls exist in abundance and are simply fascinating.
हमारे पास जो माल तैयार होता है फैंसी माल तैयार होता है, ये लोकल माल नहीं होता है। ये जैसा दुबई फेस्टिवल्स है वहाँ पर भी जाता है, लंदन, जापान, जर्मन, ये वहाँ पर भी जाता। ये नेशनल बेसिस पे नहीं, इंटरनेशनल बेसिस पे माल जा रहा है अभी।
The special bangle market at the world-famous Charminar is the most preferred place for buying these accessories. There are about 450 shops on both sides of the market with around 2,500 craftsmen to mold a variety of magic around your wrists.
ये गोट की चूड़ियों का डिमांड बहुत अच्छा है और ये करीब जो है ना 100 ईयर्स से ही मार्केट है ये टोटल ये। और जैसा आप ड्रेसेस लिखेंगे वही हिसाब से जो है ना बैंगल्स है ना मैचिंग कलर के डिज़ाइन ड्रेस का देख के बना के हम लोग देते हैं, सेट करके जैसे मैचिंग सेट पूरा ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड के अंदर जो है ना मैन्युफैक्चर इसका यही है। तो कोई भी बाहर का टूरिज्म आएगा, कोई घूमने के लिए आएंगे तो ज़्यादातर ये दिमाग में रख के आता है कि अपन हैदराबाद को जा रहे थे, यहाँ पर बैंगल्स लेना है, हैदराबादी बैंगल स्पेशल बोल के।
Shimmering sparkle, tinkling sounds and magnificent colors all go into making the Hyderabadi bangles that are a key component of the city's rich cultural legacy. magnificent forts standing tall in the desert state of Rajasthan are a testimony to the legacy of Rajput kings of yore. Another thing that has kept the heritage of Rajput monarchs alive is the traditional turban worn in the state. A distinct identity of the region, the turban is primarily worn to protect one's head from the severe climate of the desert.
थोड़ा गर्मी का बचाव रहता है, इसमें थोड़ा पसीना आने से थोड़ा कॉटन है ही इसमें, तो इसे सोख लेता है, सोखने के बाद में इसे ऐसी टाइप में बन जाता है, इसमें ठंड रहता है, इसमें गर्मी लू नहीं लगता है इसमें।
The conventional turban is also worn as a sign of status and dignity in the society. It is said that in Rajasthan, the dialect and turban change every 12 miles. The color pattern and the style of tying a turban vary accordingly to the communities and the region. For instance, Rajputs wear colored turbans, whereas the Jats tie a white one.
Welcome to Newsnight. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. While India and the world are grappling with the challenge of coronavirus, RBI today came forward with crucial monetary decisions to infuse liquidity in the market and also bring financial relief to the masses. We will focus on that in the show up ahead. Talking about the world outside, the number of confirmed cases in fact is nearing 550,000 across the world. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has tested positive for coronavirus. All those updates and more. First, the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with radio jockeys through video conferencing, says attitude of togetherness combined with positivity is key to facing the challenge posed by COVID-19, appeals to further strengthen awareness on important issues including social distancing. Health Ministry assures all efforts being undertaken to break the chain of coronavirus transmission, orders purchase of 10,000 ventilators and 30,000 more to be procured by Bharati Electronics Limited to ensure adequate availability. 1.4 lakh companies allow work from home. Home Ministry issues advisory to all states and union territories to make adequate arrangements including food and shelter for migrant workers. Agricultural labour, students and others asked to ensure hotels, rented accommodations and hostels continue to remain functional and delivery of essential items is streamlined. RBI takes joint steps to safeguard economy from the impact of coronavirus, infuses 3.74 lakh crore liquidity into the economy, puts 3-month moratorium on EMI and interest on working capital, giving much desired respite, assures macroeconomic fundamentals of the economy are sound. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails the move by RBI to safeguard economy, says it will improve liquidity, reduce cost of funds, help the middle class and businesses. Finance Minister also appreciates RBI for the commendable move, says slashed interest rates needs quick transmission. Total active COVID-19 cases in the country increased to 640, 66 people discharged after treatment, while 17 succumbed to the disease. Odisha to build the largest COVID-19 dedicated hospital. Delhi Chief Minister asserts the government is fully prepared to tackle the situation if the number of coronavirus cases increase, assures adequate arrangement for treatment, says no one will be left hungry. And international coronavirus cases continue to spiral up with more than 4.6 lakh cases and 21,000 deaths. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson tests positive for COVID-19. Prime Minister Modi expresses best wishes for good health and calls him a fighter who will overcome this challenge as well. Now, in a bid to tackle the impact of novel coronavirus on the Indian economy, Reserve Bank of India (RBI) today cut its repo rate by 75 basis points to 4.4%. Besides, the reverse repo rate was also reduced by 90% to 4%. RBI also permitted banks to provide a 3-month moratorium on all term loans. The aim of these decisions is to improve liquidity in the financial system and bring relief to the middle class and businesses.
Amidst the ongoing outbreak of COVID-19 across the globe, Reserve Bank of India has taken a lead to bring relief to the masses and support the nation's economy during these trying times. The central bank has announced a number of key reforms like cutting the repo rate and reducing the cash reserve ratio. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das made the announcements after a 3-day-long bi-monthly meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. RBI cut the repo rate by 75 basis points to 4.4% versus 5.5% earlier.
The rate cut decision is 75 basis points, and accordingly the repo rate stands reduced from 5.15% to 4.4%. Simultaneously, the fixed rate reverse repo rate, which sets the floor of the liquidity adjustment facility, that is the LAF corridor, was reduced by 90 basis points. I repeat, 90 basis points to 4%, thus creating an asymmetrical corridor.
RBI Governor said that the cut in the repo rate will help deal with the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Repo rate is the rate at which RBI lends funds to the commercial banks. The interest rate at which the RBI borrows money from banks for the short term is defined as reverse repo rate. The reverse repo rate is an important monetary policy tool used by the RBI to control liquidity and inflation in the economy. RBI cut the repo rate by 75 basis points to 4.4%. The central bank also reduced the cash reserve ratio of all banks by 100 basis points to 3% to ensure liquidity in the financial system. RBI said that the decisions taken will increase liquidity availability to the tune of 3.7 lakh crore rupees.
These three liquidity measures relating to TLTRO, CRR and MSF will inject a total liquidity of 3,74,000 crore to the system, 3.74 lakh crore to the system.
The RBI also permitted banks to provide a 3-month moratorium on all term loans and said that it stands ready to provide necessary liquidity and take all measures essential to preserve financial stability in the domestic economy.
All the lending institutions are being permitted to allow a moratorium of 3 months on payment of installments in respect of all term loans outstanding as on 1st March 2020.
RBI has assured that banking system in the country is strong and people's deposits are secured in private banks as well. The central bank also urged people to not indulge in panic withdrawal of funds. The Prime Minister supported the move. In a tweet, he said, "Today, RBI has taken giant steps to safeguard our economy from the impact of the coronavirus. The announcements will improve liquidity, reduce costs of funds, help middle class and businesses." Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman commended the steps taken by the RBI. She said, "Appreciate the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das's reassuring words on financial stability, the 3-month moratorium on payments of term loan installments and interest on working capital give much desired relief. Slashed interest rate needs quick transmission." Finance Minister emphasized that slashed interest rates needs quick transmission to the consumers. Making the crucial announcements, the RBI Governor said that the global economy and the outlook is highly uncertain and negative. Several countries are battling its exponential contagion. Countries are shutting down to prevent being sucked into a kind of a black hole. India has locked down economic activity and financial markets are under severe stress. Finance is the lifeline of the economy. Keeping it flowing is the paramount objective of the Reserve Bank of India at this point of time. Bureau Report, DD India.
And that brings us to the issue in focus. This evening, RBI joins the fight against COVID-19. That's the issue that we'll be focusing on, try and cut through the jargon and understand the implications for the common man. Joining me in the studio is Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, DG Research and Information System for Developing Countries. Welcome, Dr. Chaturvedi. And joining me on Skype is senior economic journalist Shishir Sinha, in true spirit of social distancing. Thank you, Shishir, for joining us for this discussion. Dr. Chaturvedi will try and simplify it as much as we can for our viewers. the decisions on repo rate, on reverse repo rate and CRR, what are the takeaways for the common man, for the masses? How do they set to benefit from it?
First, let me congratulate you for mentioning that Reserve Bank of India has joined the fight against COVID. And I think this is something that we should appreciate outright, because the statement that the governor made today is very different that one would have expected a couple of months back.
And we'll also try and decode the economic battlefield that we're talking about.
Absolutely
yes,
right.
Please.
So I think it is important for us to see that RBI and the government efforts now are on one and the same page. They are not in a conflicting position. They are trying to understand the nuances that are required to be exercised and addressed when we have a very tough situation at hand. So the idea of NPAs and associated theories guiding the decisions of the Reserve Bank is no more the situation. They are hand and shoulders right up with all the people who are facing a huge crisis at hand. And the 21 days lockdown is going to reduce economic activities. It's going to, of course, adversely impact those who have borrowed money. So the three decisions that have been announced by the Reserve Bank governor today, I think are going to help in terms of those who have the deferred installment payments for their loans. Second would be the advantage of accessing resources at a low cost. And third, and I think extremely important, would be to bring more liquidity in the market. To the tune of something like 3.74 lakh crores is the total amount that the governor has mentioned in terms of making it available to the market. So I think that's an extremely important point.
Right. Shishir, I'll come to you. Shishir Sinha, senior journalist, is joining us on Skype. Now, to understand the significance of this decision, we also have to understand the economic context in which these decisions have been taken. In view of this lockdown that the country is witnessing, and also world over many countries are, what kind of economic stress is India moving towards, in which these decisions become very significant? Shishir.
See, first of all, the situation is so evolving that it is very difficult to estimate that what kind of loss we will have. I mean, yesterday there was a study by SBI Economic Research, and it says that 21 days lockdown can cost something around 8 lakh crore. There are a number of agencies which have cut growth projection for India by almost 1.5% or 2%. So now we are estimating 2.5% growth rate in 2021. Among all these figures, the most important thing is that how we can provide relief to the common person as well as the businesses classes, especially the micro, small and medium enterprises. And the first decision, which was about the repo rate, reduction in repo rate and reverse repo rate, I mean, that's a very, very critical, because we all know that from October 1, 2019, we have a new interest rate system, which is called external benchmark lending rate. That means anyone who has taken loan on or after October 1, 2019 will get the benefit of repo rate reduction immediately. The second thing is that all those who have taken loan before October 1, 2019, that means up to September 30th, 2019, they will have to wait for some reduction. But the good thing is that the banks are, I mean, they have a good amount of liquidity, so they can pass on some benefit to the existing borrower also. The second thing is about the working capital requirement of all the borrowers, whether it is the micro, small and medium enterprises or the large enterprises. They will have interest deferment for 3 months. The catch here is that in the fourth month, I mean in the month of June, they will have to pay interest for all the 3 months together. So that is one thing which needs to be sorted out immediately.
Right. Dr. Chaturvedi, I'll come to you again now. We're again trying to simplify the end beneficiary of the decisions taken by the RBI. Prime Minister says that for the middle class, for businesses, these decisions are going to be very important. In view of the lockdown, where only essential services and institutions are open, we know lots of shops, when we go out to come to office, we see shops and institutions all shut down. Now, this shutdown also makes them incur certain losses. This liquidity that we are trying to emphasize upon again and again, over 3.7 lakh crore rupees, how are the businesses set to benefit from it, who are, as of now, experiencing a 21-day shutdown?
The announcements that when they have been made are going to benefit industry, particularly small and medium enterprises, as Shishir very rightly said, deferment of EMIs and other financial obligations that are there. The other important point is that the banks themselves were not extending a credit to those who are trying to get into the economic activities that are required. After 21 days, when industry comes back, they would have a huge backlog to address, and that time the bank should be ready with the cash. So what Reserve Bank today has done is to de-incentivize other channels where money was being parked by the banks. The reverse repo rate that has been addressed by the Reserve Bank of India today to de-incentivize the public sector banks and of course the private sector banks to channelize their resources to private sector. So that's after 21 days lockdown is over. Meanwhile, for next 3 months, what Finance Minister announced yesterday for the working community and other stakeholders in the setting. Today's announcement by the Reserve Bank is addressing the middle class requirements and those who are into industrial establishments and industrial enterprises. So these two measures I think would have to be juxtaposed over each other to understand the wider picture as it is emerging. But your question that how it would help economy now when you are bringing in liquidity when no activity is there is absolutely understandable. But we need to also appreciate the point that, the deferment of the EMIs, the other payments that banks would have to make, the liquidity, because banks are functioning. This you should understand. The Reserve Bank governor today also congratulated his own team, the IT department. If you look at the RTGS and other bank transfers that are happening electronically, every day 4.5 crores to 5 crore transactions are happening in this country, which the IT department of the Reserve Bank of India is facilitating. So we should appreciate the point that even in this lockdown, there are people who are working. They are working from outside locations and are delivering the services to us. And due to lockdown, there is a huge jump in the electronic transactions. So all that is happening. That requires liquidity in the market. So this additional effort by the Reserve Bank today has paved way for smooth transactions.
Right. Shishir, I'll come back to you now. Now this 3-month moratorium that has been announced by the RBI, that should come as a news of great relief for people who are practicing, who are taking part in the lockdown at the moment. Although government has said that salaries for the permanent contractual staff, everyone should be given, but relief for 3 months from EMI would be an important boost, morale boost for the people. Will it also apply to credit cards?
Let me clarify one thing, that the 3-month moratorium will be applicable for all kind of term loans, including the personal loan and also the credit card dues which have been converted into EMI. It doesn't mean that if you are not paying your credit card spending next month, that will be waived. The only relief will be there for those people who have converted their dues into EMI, and that's during as on March 1, 2020. So that clarification is very important. The second thing, that crop loan and Kisan credit card loans will also be covered under this moratorium. So farmers will not have to worry about their EMI. That is the second point. And the third thing is that we should understand that many of our workforce, I mean those who are working even in the organized sector, they are having some kind of threat that whether they are going to get their salary in the month of April, in the first week of April or not. So for them, any kind of deferment EMI for next 3 months, I mean next 2 months, because it will be applicable between March, April and May. So for next 2 months, they don't have to worry about the EMI, and also if the EMI is due for the month of March. So any kind of relief for people who are having some kind of apprehension that whether they are going to get their salary on time or not, so certainly it's going to give some kind of comfort to those.
Right, Shishir, and given the role that the decisions that RBI has taken and the role that banks are now playing, bringing relief to the masses, what is the particular pressure that banks are experiencing given the economic and health context of COVID-19? How challenging a position are banks in at the moment?
See, if you don't give any kind of comfort, then there is a probability of conversion of more and more these loans into NPA. So if any loan is converting into NPA, that means the banks will have to provide money for that. Their balance sheets are already stressed in that situation, as of now. So they cannot take any chance for increase in NPA. So giving them some comfort, that will have some kind of relief for the bank also. And we should not forget that banks have money, because the deposits which are with the bank, even in the saving bank account, people are not withdrawing that much money. So liquidity is there with the bank, and if they are able to use it even for the working capital loan or for a term loan as soon as the lockdown is over, that is certainly going to help banks. The only worry they will have, that they will have some kind of impact on the net interest margin, but I think over a period of time that problem will also be sorted out.
Right, Dr. Chaturvedi, also when we talk about RBI joining the fight against COVID-19, and there's significant liquidity that is going to be available now, we also know the pressure that the medical sector is likely to face in the days ahead. There are large-scale orders for ventilators, masks, and also support of medical staff. You think this liquidity, this availability of funds would also aid the sort of pressure that the health sector is experiencing at the moment?
Absolutely right, Bindu, because what Governor said this morning is very evident in terms of the accommodative gesture that the monetary policy has taken, would have to be supplemented by enough fiscal measures and boost through other policies which are developmental in orientation. Given the kind of situation we are in, we require gears that are needed by people who are engaged in the medical profession, those who are attending to patients, and of course the idea of turning railway coaches into hospitals, and number of new sort of arrangements that are being made to cope up with the crisis require all different kinds of gadgets that are needed. And at this point, it is important that the industrial and economic activities are incentivized in a manner that they can cater to the large demand that is coming in. And we should not forget that Prime Minister has also given new leadership that these larger South required, because so far the challenge was confined to developed countries. Now it is spreading to several developing countries, be that in Africa or even in our own neighborhood. The SAARC video conferencing that the Prime Minister addressed, his intervention today at G20, and also our commitment with several other developing countries would require a huge supply chain within India to cope up domestic challenges that we have, but also the wider global facilities that are needed. So from that perspective, Reserve Bank's support to the bank through liquidity and providing fillip to our industrial and economic activities, particularly to produce medical requirements, I think is very timely measure.
Right. We'll continue our discussion. Just an important update that came in today. I'll inform our viewers. The Union Home Ministry has also asked the state governments to prevent a mass exodus of migrant agriculture laborers, industrial workers, unorganized sector employees from their workplaces to hometowns amid this 21-day nationwide lockdown to combat coronavirus. In an advisory to all states and union territories, Home Ministry said they should also make arrangements for uninterrupted supply of essential commodities to hotels, working women hostels, so that they continue to live in the existing facilities where they are. The states and union territories have also been advised to make these vulnerable groups aware of the measures taken by the government, including provision of free food grains, other essential items through PDS, and streamline the distribution system. Home Ministry has also advised the states and UTs to ensure that hotels, rented accommodation